Okay, afternoon, first day of padded practice for us, fifth day in our acclimatization. Got a chance to put together what has been the theme of the first 4 practices for us, and that is running the football, defending the run. I would say that most of our scripting has been focused on running the football, play action, and then defensively defending the run situationally today. So we've called it building a toughness with our football team this week. We know we can play fast. We know that we can spread it out and do those things. We want to really have our guys focus this week, and we'll continue that through the rest of the week on our toughness as a football team. So that's kind of been our theme. That's what we did today. Got a chance to evaluate a lot of the running backs. Obviously, from our standpoint, the offensive line and building that continuity. And then defensively, we've got a lot of players that we want to get an opportunity to build their resume. I told them these next couple of days when we get to tackle, it's not necessarily moving day, but they can build their resume relative to how they play the game. The blocking and the tackling. Some guys look good when they're conditioned and running around in their shorts and their helmets. Other guys have a tendency to step up when contact is introduced. So today was a day that we'll get a chance now the rest of the afternoon to evaluate film and spend time meeting with our football team. With that, I'll open it up to questions.
Brian, who did step up when contact was introduced? Did you see that impressed you?
Well, I think it's not necessarily individual as much as I liked what we did as an offensive unit running the football, and we're going against a very stout defense. So, when I look at our ability to run the football, I'm judging it knowing that we showed that we can play very good run defense. So we had some good moments today. I think our defense flew around and played physical. I got the look that I was looking from 35,000 feet. In other words, I couldn't tell you until I watched the film individuals who stood out, but I liked the way we ran the ball and the way we flew around on defense.
Speaking of run defense, what's happening with the will linebacker position right now, and how does Kendall Moore fit into that picture at all?
Kendall doesn't fit into the will position. He and McDonald are fighting it out, and that's been a great battle. Him and McDonald at the mic. Manti's our starter. So those guys are in a pretty good battle. It's Calabrese and Fox, and Carlo's been very professional. I think he's had one of the 5 days where he didn't start well, but he finished well. So I would say, in answering your question, Carlo's doing well at the will. Fox has still got to, close on him further, but clearly, Kendall's not a crossover player.
Carlos said maybe it's just because it's a guy who played his first season and he wasn't satisfied, wasn't very happy with how he played last year. Is that him being too hard on himself? Was there a checklist of things you needed to see?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's in the character of Carlo that he's hard on himself, but he also knows as a freshman, as a first-time player, there were a lot of things that he needed to do for us this year to up his game. So I think our expectations of him, Brian, are pretty high, but I think he also carries that in himself as well.
Coach, you mentioned almost like a 3-man platoon at the offensive guard position. How about safety with Zeke Mata and Jamar Slaughter? That seems to be one of the more competitive.
Yeah, they're all going to play. I mean, when you break down their reps, they're going to be very equal. They both can make plays. They're playmakers for us too. So it's a good problem to have. They know going in, and we made it clear. Listen, don't even worry about who the starter is. It's immaterial, because you're all going to play, and you're all going to play a very equal amount. So it's just been really competitive. We had an off day yesterday relative to communication back there, but they've been excellent all camp, and today both those guys got a lot of reps and a lot of work back there.
Brian, any takeaways from the quarterback situation over the last 4 or 5 days that you feel like, okay, I learned something here about where we are?
You know, we're so focused, Pete, on the run game right now. A lot of it is about playing smarter, not faster at this point. So obviously the veterans are going to have a leg up during this segment of what we've asked them to concentrate on. Everett and Andrew would obviously show better if we were just playing faster. And right now, you know, Dane and Tommy have shown the ability to play smarter, getting in the right run checks, making sure that we've got the right plays called. That's really been our focus. So those guys have pushed themselves up a little bit because of the way we're playing right now.
You mentioned kind of that moving day concept. Is that almost, not exclusively, but almost exclusively for like 2s and 3s? It seems like you're pretty good with your 1s, you know who they are. But there's a lot of give and take in 2s and 3s, shuffling guys in and out.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. You know, I think we all know, you know, who those frontline guys are, but it's really about building that next unit. Who's going to step in? I'll give you an example. We're better when, you know, we can count on Bennett Jackson and Low Wood, you know, to give Blanton or Gray a blow. You know, we don't want to get to a point where, oh, we got to put these guys out there and there's such a big drop-off. So a lot of that work goes to that second and third unit.
Coach, along those lines with Bennett Low, are either one of them challenging enough for a nickel role, or are your 3 safeties, you just trust them so much that would...
3 safeties would have the first hand in that. But we're really close with both those guys. Low's been more consistent than Bennett. Bennett has flashes of greatness. But they're unfortunately at the wrong position to have flashes. You can't have a good series and then a bad series. Lowe has been very, very consistent for us. So as a staff, we're feeling really good that we're developing that depth at the cornerback position.
Brian, what did you take away from the special teams?
Well, today we wanted to get a lot of the young guys out there because, you know, you have this tendency when we started special teams, you go back to what you did last year and your comfort level. And I said, listen, I want Daniels out there, I want McDaniel out there, I want all these young kids that we think that can potentially help us on special teams to do that. The other thing, we hadn't spent much time on our kickoff return, so we wanted to get it in before contact. Because the tendency is you throw it in late in practice, you don't get the same kind of attention to detail because they all want a collision on the first day, you know. So I moved special teams up to get those young kids today a look and to have the focus on that before we got into contact.
And what was your impression of the young kids?
It's interesting. There's a lot of teaching, you know, but at least what we can do is say, listen, here are the things that you got to get better at. If you don't look better tomorrow, then you probably get back with your position group. So today was a lot of teaching. It wasn't pretty at times. There are definitely a few guys there that have a chance to be really good ones for us, but we'll go at it again tomorrow and then Friday, and if we don't see these guys becoming more comfortable, Eric, we'll probably start to move in another direction.
Brandon, I know you're focusing on the run game, but what's happening at the X with Jones and Goodman, and is Daniels a legitimate candidate to play at that spot this year?
I think TJ has had really as consistent of 5 days as any of our guys. I really would highlight him today in terms of what he's done. John's had a good 5 days. TJ has done it both at X and Z. Because remember, he's our guy that can move around a little bit for us and give us better flexibility. That battle is ongoing. It's going to be a good one. And then Devarius Daniels has an outstanding skill set. He's going to be a really good player. I don't know whether he's going to be, I don't know that he makes it to South Florida, but I'm going to tell you right now, he's definitely a young man that we're going to talk a lot. I'm high on him, but boy, there's a lot to do right now with him in terms of routes. And it was funny, his number is 16, and I wanted him to run a bench route. So I said, hey, 16, run the bench. And of course, he heard the bench was to be run at 16 yards. it's run at 12. So it's spinning for him, right now. So if he can kind of grab hold of it, he definitely is a guy that has a lot of skill.
Talking to Bob Diaco the other day, he was talking about Darius Fleming and all the experience that he's gotten, and that he expects him to play, to be among the best at his position in the country this year. What are your expectations for a guy who has changed his body, has a ton of...
Yeah, he'll be one of the more explosive players in the country. He's just comfortable now. Last year it was all robotic. It was get to this spot. Now he flows to that spot. It's a big difference. We ran zone read yesterday where he's closing down on the dive. He took the dive away and the quarterback, because he could come out, pop back out. There's not a lot of guys that I've seen on film that can make those kind of plays, and he's doing it more instinctually. So I would not. It would not surprise me that he becomes one of the players that is regarded as a national player.
What is the benefit of having Sean Sonar, that he can run your stock portfolio too?
Yeah, he's a pretty smart kid. He loves to play, but he's got such balance in his life. He's such a great player, both on and off the field in terms of what he does. Here's what he does for us. He lightens the load at that nose guard position because he's going to give you 30 really good plays. You're not going to get 40 or 50 out of him, which now Lewis Nix doesn't have to play the whole game. And then whoever that third guy is. And that, let me tell you, a battle, that one is wide open. I mean, Springman has done great things, and Hafiz has got to hang on there right now. It's a battle at that third.
Yeah, Mike Gray had Tim Abramitis who did the same thing, accelerated NBA sort of almost during the season. Did you have, he had some concerns about whether it would be too much? Did you have any similar concerns with Sean?
No, he came to me during the season and he said, I'm going to apply to the NBA program. I said, go ahead. And I remember a few weeks later, he was in stretch lines with the biggest smile on his face that he got into the program. I was happy for him because I knew what his work ethic was like. On time, attentive to detail, all those things. Those guys, you never can get enough of them. So we're excited for him.
Brian, just one last one from me. The defensive ends, you have all that young talent. You have a lot of confidence in EJ and Kaplan, Lewis Moore. Have you seen a jump in their performance just from having all the young talent around? Not that they weren't motivated, but has it helped them become better?
I think it would not be fair to them to say that they've been pushed by the freshmen as much as they've made incredible strides in the weight room. When we got here last year, Ethan was not squatting at all. He played the year before I got here with no weight training in his lower body. And I think you guys watch him, he's on the ground a lot, flopping around. He is so much stronger physically from what he's done on his own and through our strength and conditioning program. I got to tell you, it's those guys that have improved physically that have been more of the jump than the freshmen. Now, add the freshmen to it, and that allows those guys to take a blow here and there that we couldn't give them last year. That's why we had to activate Kona Schwenke, just to give those guys a blow. So it's on them first, Eric, but certainly having some depth is going to help them as well relative to the game itself.
Coach, you talked about the strides that the older guys are making. How about some of the younger guys? Kona, Aaron, Eshok, the guys over here in the spring. What kind of strides are they making?
Kona obviously is still growing into his body. He came in at about 220. He's up to 296 pounds. So he's still growing into his body. He's big, he's physical. He does the things that we want him to do every single day. Eshak is a lot more comfortable at the position that he's playing. He's cutting it loose. That's kind of been the phrase with Eshak. He was really tentative in the spring. He's starting to cut it loose a little bit more. Who are the other mid-year enrollees?
Aaron Lynch up front on defense.
Aaron is. There's never going to be a debate about his physical ability. He's got to be disciplined within the defense.